What's up guys, Coyote Works here again today. Well, I'm out of my favorite place, the high desert of Central Oregon, and what I wanted to talk about today was guns, firearms, or more specifically, what I believe represents the first 5 firearms that every serious bug-out junkie, prepper, survivalist, or even just every American should own. And these would be the first 5 firearms that I would strive to get if you're just starting to purchase firearms, or if you have a couple and you're looking to round out the collection. So the reason why I think these 5 firearms represent the first ones that someone should buy is because they give, in my opinion, the widest range of capabilities at the widest range of distances. So between these 5 firearms, you've got all of your basic capabilities covered. You've got your personal defense, your home defense, your close range hunting, your long range hunting, your defensive capabilities, your offensive capabilities, small game hunting, big game hunting at ranges from 5 feet to 800 or 1,000 meters. So, in my opinion, this represents the first 5 guns that every person should build their arsenal around, or should be the basis of every person's gun collection. Every American's, or every prepper, survivalist, or bug-out junkie for sure. So if you're just getting started into the prepper, survivalist, bug-out junkie world, these are the 5 firearms that I would suggest that you start striving to get. So I'm going to go through all these, and I'm going to go through them in the order in which I think they should be purchased in. So the first firearm I believe everyone should purchase is a good defensive handgun. If you don't own a gun, your defensive handgun should be the first gun that I would recommend you buy. And if you own a few firearms but you don't own a defensive handgun, I would suggest that be the next firearm that you buy. Your handgun is your close-range personal defense weapon. This firearm represents the one that you're most likely to be carrying most of the time, just because of the size and the convenience. Now, it's not necessarily the most effective, but it does represent what most Americans, most survivalists, most bug-out junkies, it represents the one gun that they will be carrying far more than any other firearm that they own. In my opinion, the most important attribute of this gun is reliability. So in my opinion, you want to stick with well-known, well-established, reliable brands. I would suggest sticking with a 9mm 40 Smith & Wesson or 45, and my personal choices would be the 9mm or the 45, just simply because of the variety of ammunition available out there and the sheer volume of ammunition. The number 2 and number 3 guns on the list, in my mind, it's kind of a toss-up which one to buy first. But for number 2, I'm going to go with a good .22 rifle. The .22 rifle represents the firearm that's going to give you the ability to carry the most amount of ammo for the least amount of weight and the least amount of space. It's also one of the most effective small game hunting, or most versatile small game hunting rifles there are out there, with the capabilities of taking everything from your small game, small birds, rodents, things like that, small predators, all the way up to even deer-sized game if you're in a close enough range to them. The .22 rifle also is relatively quiet compared to a lot of the other firearms on the list, so it gives you the ability to hunt with a relatively low signature. I recommend, again, sticking with one of the major brands that has a reputation for being reliable. The Ruger 1022 is my personal favorite. In my experience, they're typically fairly accurate, and there's a wide variety of different accessories, stocks, scopes, scope mounts, things like that out there for it. So number 2 on the list is a good .22 rifle. Now, like I said, the number 2 and number 3 spot on the list, in my mind, are pretty interchangeable as far as priority. But the number 3 spot is a good 12 or 20 gauge shotgun. In my mind, the role of a good 12 or a 20 gauge shotgun is actually pretty broad. Mainly close range, but excellent for home defense, excellent for small game hunting. At the end of the day, the 12 gauge shotgun represents most people's greatest opportunity to have success getting game of any firearm. With its wide pattern and variety of shot, it actually ends up being pretty versatile too. Running everything from slugs for big game hunting to, small bird shot for getting small game birds and small fast-moving animals on the ground like rabbits and things like that. So number 3 on the list, I put the 12-gauge shotgun. And now to the number 4 rifle on the list, which in my opinion should be a good AR-15 style rifle. I would say AR-15 rifle or other semi-automatic high-capacity mid-caliber firearm. But I would recommend an AR-15 just because, well, the wide variety of options out there, the wide variety of parts and accessories, the availability of the ammo for it. I just think at this point, everyone should have an AR-15 in their arsenal. This represents the pinnacle of your defensive and offensive weapon. This also represents your mid-range hunting rifle or your mid-size hunting rifle with a high degree of accuracy. The AR-15 also represents your first jump into the higher power, higher velocity centerfire round that's actually a fairly compact round that gives you the ability to carry a lot of ammunition for it. Again, I would suggest sticking with one of the more reputable, reliable brands, but I feel that no arsenal is complete without a good AR-15 rifle. And at number 5 on the list, I put a good bolt-action, reliable 30 caliber or greater rifle. It'll fill your long-range defensive or offensive role, and also this will be your firearm for taking large, medium to large size game at the longest distances that you need it to. This is also the last gun on the list because it represents the firearm in my mind that takes the greatest amount of skill to use effectively. So through the course of purchasing and learning how to use all the other firearms on the list, you'll develop the foundation of skills to really be able to start developing your longer range marksmanship, in my opinion. Also, this is the most specialized firearm in the group, the one that you're least likely to have with you the majority of the time. The attributes of this firearm that I would look for are accuracy and reliability. This is going to be your longest range weapon, so accuracy is the most important here. There are some semi-automatic 30 caliber or heavier caliber round rifles out there that do pretty well, but in my opinion, a bolt action is going to represent your most reliable long-range rifle with the least potential for malfunctions and problems. So the number 5 firearm on the list is a dedicated longer range 30 caliber rifle. And personally, I would lean towards a bolt action with a good, solid, reliable, clear optic scope on it. So that's it. That's my list of the first 5 firearms that I think every prepper, bug out junkie, survivalist, or American should own. I believe those 5 firearms give people the greatest amount of capability and cover all the bases from personal defense, home defense, close range hunting, long range hunting, big game hunting, small game hunting, and defensive and offensive capabilities. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed. Comment below even if you don't agree with me, and I do appreciate every single view and subscriber to my channel. So for now, I'm off to do some hunting with one of the 5 firearms on my list, my Remington 870 12-gauge shotgun. Coyote Works out.